everyone, welcome back to my channel where I'm learning to live creatively in a small space so I can travel the world, experience all that I can, and pursue my hobbies. Today we're doing something really fun. We're doing a makeover, yay! I've been really waiting to get to this part of my channel, but with traveling around, it costs money, so it's been kind of hard to do any sort of makeovers on my apartment. But today we are making over my entryway. I live in a house that is broken down into apartments. So the only neighbor I have is my upstairs neighbor, and we share this sort of floof. This is so bad. So the only real neighbor I have is my upstairs neighbor, and we share this entryway area. So I live on the bottom floor and she lives on the top, so she would walk through this area. I do live in a 400 square foot apartment, and in that apartment is a 1 by 2 foot closet. That's right, a 1 by 2 foot closet. I have no storage in here, and I knew that moving in, so I was thinking, how can I create as much storage both in and maybe even out of my apartment, which is in that communal entryway. So I was thinking maybe I could do some sort of coat situation, because right now they're strewn all over my apartment, because where else would I put them? So the first thing that I want to think about is, especially as a renter, what are my parameters? And one parameter is I'm a renter, so I have to consider not doing so many holes in the wall, and I'm not gonna paint or anything like that. I'm using lots of command strips. There are some holes in the walls where the previous owner hung things up, so I'm going to use those areas to hang up some plants. Another thing I wanted to do was ask my neighbor, my upstairs neighbor, who would be walking through the area, as well as my landlord, if all of these things were okay. And because they're all pretty renter friendly, they're a-okay. So after I have my parameters taken care of, I want to consider my priorities. There's a couple things that I really want in this apartment, and the first thing is coat storage. Second thing is bikes accessory storage, so my helmet, my lock, something to put my umbrella down. I also want to add more light to the space, both naturally, because there's this big window, but it doesn't have any sort of privacy. The blinds are always down. So I wanted to add more natural light for the incoming plants. But also for at night when I get home, I wanted to add some motion censored lights so that it's a little bit easier to find my way around. I have this light that's in the entryway area, but it always goes out. I don't know what the deal is. I'm sure I could fix it, but to me, it's fine. It's kind of located in a weird area. Like, I'd have to go up a flight of stairs in order to even turn on the light, and like I'm already stumbling around. So I bought some motion censored lights to help that area. The last thing I really wanted to add was some coziness, and in this way, I also wanted to add some holiday cheer. My mom likes to throw up Christmas just everywhere, and while I admire that, I personally don't need all of that in my space, especially since it's tiny, and since it's kind of a communal area. I don't want to like over the top do it. So I wanted to add some like sparkly lights and make it kind of like holiday festive. The next thing I have to do is I have to measure everything, and measuring everything is very, very important, because in small spaces, it's not just the space you have to recognize, it's also like the little things like the doorways you'd have to get furniture through, or the pile of the rug, and this is particularly true for me. My one door has a really like uneven low thing from the floor to the bottom of the door, so I'd need a really low pile rug. Unfortunately, I did order a rug for that particular area, but it is not in yet. But I'm deciding I'm just gonna clean the current rug and do a rug for the downstairs, as well as like the little coat area. So I still have projects to do, but I don't have that particular rug. But measuring your spaces, particularly in a small area, but really anywhere, is important. And then ordering things. In a small space, I find ordering online is a little bit easier. I do check out like local thrift stores, local consignment stores, IKEA, all of that sort of things. But sometimes to get that exact sizing, you need to go online. It's just easier to like look up exactly what you want. And the last thing I need to do is clean. So I got magic erasers because they're like tiny little sandpaper that'll take away some smudges, and just clean just in general because it's kind of messy. So I want it to be a little bit cleaner and then add green. I have like a couple of different plants that I'm very excited about. This is one of them, and some cool planters too that I'll have to show you. But I have a lot of optimism when it's coming to this project. I'm really excited. I don't know what it's gonna look like in the end. I didn't really put all the pieces together, but you know, I'm pumped. Let's do it. Okay, so now that I'm finished sweeping, I'm going to use these cloths. They're usually used to like cleaning cars, but are really great for cleaning in general because you can throw them in the wash. These are pretty stained. They're very old, which is why I'm using them for this entryway project. But I really like these a lot, and you can get them for pretty cheap on Amazon. I'm also going to use Method Glass and Surface Cleaner because it's the cleaner I have most of at the moment. I do really like it. It's really good for the bathroom, but today it's going to be really good for the entryway. Okay, so we've done our first sort of wipe down, and now I kind of want to go in with a magic eraser just to get rid of any stubborn spots. It is almost like a really fine sandpaper, so it works perfect for this. So I think that's as clean as it's going to get. In the house, it was meant to be kind of like a mudroom to the back, and now it is the only part of my apartment that's not like redone. So it's really hard to get into all of the nooks and crannies, and even then it might still get a little dirty. So we're just gonna have to let it be what it is. But we did clean as much as we can, and so we're gonna go on to the next part, which is definitely my least favorite part. I've done a lot of like temporary wallpaper, and this is kind of in that same vein. It's not technically wallpaper, but it is like a privacy screen. You can get it on Amazon. It comes in different sort of colors and variations, and I actually did this in my bedroom to have a little bit more privacy, but it looked like stained glass. So this is gonna be kind of similar. It so sucks. All of these sort of like temporary wall solutions, they look really great if you do it just so, but man, getting it just so is really awful. But once again, I have told myself that I need to do it because it is a great solution for a lot of renters. So I'm going to do it today, and I hope it looks good. I hope it's worth it. There are bars in front of my window, which I'm totally fine with. I just want more light in general and just make it more attractive. The design I got was sort of like this old English cottage thing, so we'll see how that goes. The last time I did this, it took me several tries and I took a couple breaks, so we'll see how this goes. So this time I'm trying it from a different angle. Last time I just went ahead and cut it kind of to the size, but I didn't even measure it, and that took forever because I had to cut it down and cut it down and cut it down. So this time I measured it pretty close to where it needed to be, and I'm just making little cuts on the paper where I should make my final cut. I also love tiny scissor sounds when footage is sped up. So what you do for this contact paper that's on the window is you actually just use water, and I have these extra spray bottles lying around. So I just put some water in it, and spraying as much water as possible is good, just because that way you can slip inside it, and as it dries, it sticks to the window. So as much water as you can make it. Just be careful of the corners. In my window, my corners are a little bit rounded, and sometimes if it's a little bit too big, then it can not really like seal all around it, because the whole thing is almost like suction cupped to the wall. And if that isn't on all the way, it kind of brings up things around it. To finish everything off, I'm just taking a little razor blade and getting into the very corners, the corners that I was just mentioning, as well as just, it was slightly too big on the right-hand side and at the very top. I like to even it up on two sides, so I evened up on the left side and the bottom, and it worked well. The last thing I did is just wipe everything down with a little bit of cleaner to make sure it was sparkly clean. So that wasn't so bad. I'm actually really surprised that this time, this go around, it was a little bit easier. I think it's because I was a little bit more cognizant of how it kind of worked. I measured it with the measuring tape first, and then I cut to size, and I think that was a little bit better, but it wasn't too bad today, and now we can move on. So now we're gonna go ahead and pick some rugs out that are a little bit more proportionate to the area that we have. So I'm sure everyone knows this trick, but you know, when you get a rug, it comes rolled up so it has a shape. So if you roll it the opposite direction, it can relieve that shape so you can lay it pretty flat. I also stomp all over it, and that helps too. So this rug is kind of flimsy, so I wanted to make sure it was pretty secure, so I put on these sort of stickers on there. These are pretty heavy duty and they feel really secure. Okay, so now that my rugs are secure, I'm going to hang up my hooks. And for this, I have two different types of hooks. The first one I knew was gonna be able to carry the weight because of Amazon. I've used these before, my mom has used these before. They look really nice and they're pretty heavy, but they just hold a lot of weight. So these are the ones that I wanted to be my main hooks. And then for my bike accessories, I bought some smaller hooks that are just cute and tiny. So I knew I wanted to use 5 hooks. So I measured the inside of this cabinet thing, and I took half of that measurement to put the first hook, and then I flanked it with 2 other hooks using the length of the scissors that I have. So here I'm just checking how my bike cable and my helmet lay, and using that as a guide to put my hooks. Okay, so now the utility is there. I might add 2 more hooks behind my door. I'm not sure yet. I'm gonna put everything together and see how much space I feel like I have, just for like little tidbits, like if I have an umbrella that has like a little hangy wristlet thing, I can put it there. So I'm gonna think about putting 2 hooks there. In the meantime, I'm gonna think about greenery. And that was a big thing about adding a lot of light. I also wanted to add some plants. I have a philodendron that works really great out there. It's not so great for kitties, so I like to keep it out there anyway. It's really big, it'll look really beautiful up there. It also is very tolerant of me neglecting it. So the one thing about plants and spaces is I kind of like to choose my plants based on the space I have available and how much I see it, how much I'm actually going to get to watering it, instead of picking a plant and then trying to find a home for him. That way I know that at least there's a better chance of him surviving. I did get a little succulent thing. Ooh, it has a little bottom to it. This is a little succulent combo punch. It's in this beautiful like matte sort of tan color. I believe the store that I got the planter from was called Stump, but it is a really beautiful pot and I think it'll meld in with the colors. The color scheme out there is kind of like ugly, like all the green, you know, so I'm trying to tone that down and work with it as much as possible, and this I think will help. And then I have a Hoya also, because he doesn't really love a bunch of water either. The planters that I have are a little tiny, tinier than I thought they were going to be. So this is like one of those pearl plants. It's kind of like a succulent as well, so I don't have to water him as much. He has bunches of tendrils that would go down, but right now he's all kind of up in a bun. Otherwise, Floof would find him very enjoyable. So I'm trying to avoid Floof attacks at all costs, so I wrapped him up, but he'll be really pretty hanging out of a pot. I will show you the pot I have. So I have two of these hanging planters. I got them on Amazon. For whatever reason, the grayer one was more expensive than the white one. So I'm gonna plant both of my plants in these little planters, and then I'm going to nail them up and organize my giant philodendron out there to go around my coat area. Okay, so I just put the plants into the planters. Are they tiny? Yes. Are they gonna make it? Very nice. Wow, how voluptuous. This one looks very lush. So the next thing that I'm gonna do is add a little bit of light for the nighttime when I get home and I try to get up the stairs and try to get to that light switch and trip. I'm a very clumsy person, so to be a little bit on the safer side, I'm getting these rechargeable motion sensor lights in. They are like a command strip type of deal where you just kind of stick it on. This uses a magnet that way you can continue to charge. And these are really cool because they only turn on in the dark and they only turn on when it's motion sensed during the dark. So this will be really nice to be able to get in safely. It comes with 3 pucks and 3 charging ports, which is pretty cool because that way you can charge it a little bit quicker. For the purposes of this video, I've already charged them all, but I think this will really help add a little bit of light to my space as well. In addition to that, under the same vein, I'm getting this key light, so right above my doorknob, that way I can see when I come home which key. I have a billion keys, and it would be nice to know which one gets me through the front door. They're all color-coded, but the green and the blue can get a little bit confusing, so this guy will help me differentiate and make sure that I'm not only getting the right color, but it is going where it needs to go, and I can get inside as quick as possible. Okay, so now that we have the basics out of the way, it's time to add a little bit of holiday cheer, and I'm doing that in a couple of ways. The first way is a wreath, like the classic way. I'm switching out my spring wreath to, I'm skipping right over fall because I forgot about fall, and moving right on to winter. And this one is really pretty. It's from Wayfair. I like it sort of like asymmetrical design, and also it lights up. So that'll be a really cute way to kind of light up the space too. I also decided that these pom-poms would be pretty cute. I got them from Target. They have some neutral coloring to it, but then also some white and red, almost like peppermint looking stripes to it, so it does have some holiday cheer in it. And then in addition, I'm going to use these command strips to put them up, so I'm not putting any more holes into my wall. I put 2 in for my plants and that was it, and I used it in an area that other holes had been made from the previous owner of the house. So I wanted to make sure not to overdo it, you know? The other thing I have is like string lights, so we're probably just gonna add those everywhere. So my entryway is almost finished. I just need to put my stuff in. It's getting dark really fast because it looks like it's about to storm. So I'm gonna try to hurry up to get everything done so I can get at least a little bit of daylight in my after shot for you. Guys, I finished. I'm so happy it's finally done. The storage is really nice. It's gotten things off the floor. My apartment's a little bit of a mess because Amazon boxes are obnoxious, but we'll clean that up and it looks really good. I think it's going to be very functional and very cute, and I can't wait to show my neighbors. All right, I hope you have a lovely evening, and if you're interested in following me on more adventures, please like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.